Hi there, I'm Mike Larson, Money Show Editor-in-Chief, and I'm coming to you from the Orlando Money Show. Really excited about the crowd we have here and the guest I'm about to introduce you to. His name is Phil Flynn. Phil is a senior energy analyst with the Price Futures Group. You've probably seen him contributing on Fox Business Network, as well as a number of other media outlets. Phil has been involved in the energy sector for more than 3 decades now, is recognized as an expert by individual and institutional investors, and I'd like to welcome him here. Phil,
Thanks,
how are you?
Mike, I have to make a confession before we start.
We're going to start with the confession.
Yeah, we're going to start with the confession.
Okay.
He just said I was in the business for more than 30 years. I haven't updated my Money Show bio for a year. I think it's more like 40 now.
40, yeah. Well,
no, I tell it.
I like to say we're all getting younger in
Yeah,
our minds,
I know.
even if maybe not.
Well, maybe it was quite 40. You guys at home trying to figure that out. But anyway.
Perfect. All right, Phil, you were here to talk about something called Greenflation.
Greenflation.
Why don't you introduce that concept, explain to our viewers what that is?
It's slimy and it's green and it's creepy. No, it's inflation, and people, the greatest minds in the world, that were looking at the global economy for the last couple years, have been talking about we don't have any inflation. We have deflation. That was the fear, right? And the economy, though, had started to turn around from the downturn. And everybody was, all these great economists around the globe were like, we don't get it. The economy is red hot, but we can't raise interest rates because there's no inflation, so we have nothing to worry. In fact, they were worried about a few years ago trying to get inflation back to 2%.
I remember that? Absolutely.
We need
greater inflation.
We need to create inflation. We need to print more money. But what they weren't getting, was the fact that the reason why inflation astounded them was because of the U.S. energy industry. The U.S. energy industry was the tool that changed the global landscape for economy. It kept inflation low. It also allowed growth in the United States and in the world, for that matter, to continue to grow, unlike anything we'd seen before, with low inflation.
Yeah.
But now, when you have the perfect scenario that provides you growth with low inflation, what should you do with that? Let's kill it! Kill it! Stop it!
Yeah, we don't. There's too much of that good stuff going on.
That's right. We got to go to green energy, right? Because everything's working too well, and so this poorly planned move to green energy has taken a low growth, no inflation environment, turned it into a low growth. I did it backwards. It should be a high growth, low inflation environment. Thank you very much. High growth, low growth, high inflation environment, and that's greenflation.
Got it. Okay. Now, how much of this is driven by economics? How much of it is driven by poor policy? I mean, when you look at what's causing this, where do you lay the blame and why?
It's got to be policy and the Fed. I mean, come on, they're the guys who are in charge, right? And it's amazing to me, and listen, it's easy to Monday morning quarterback the Fed and the government, right? But the Fed continued to tell us that inflation was transitory, right? It was a passing fad.
Sure.
But then at the same time, how can you say that when you were worried that there was no inflation? You were astounded. So you can't have it both ways, right? So that was a major policy error. The policy error was enhanced by poor fiscal policy by the government, because they're like, hey, low inflation, let's spend more money. And to be honest with you, I don't mind if the government spends more money when inflation's low, because that's the time you should spend it.
Yeah.
But you should spend it on things that actually help the economy, not just waste it, right?
You want investment, productivity, all that good stuff that comes from...
Exactly. Yeah. And we wasted one of the greatest economic opportunities with the shale revolution that we've had. We muddled it up, we messed it up, and we're paying the price for it with greenflation.
Yeah. All right, so in this world environment we have, there is obviously Putin rattling his saber and threatening the energy markets by with supply, and then having sanctions on him. There's all these worries about how people are going to heat their homes, whether it's in Europe this winter or elsewhere. How does this kind of shake out? I mean, where do you see things going from here in the energy markets from that standpoint?
I have to say that we are in a new super cycle for energy. I've been saying it for years. That means the prices, they're going to go up, they're going to go down, but over time, they're going to continue to go up. I mean, we're going to continue to see a situation where this is going to drive energy prices higher. So, I don't want to be a doomsayer, because at times, high oil prices can be a good thing.
Sure.
If they're accompanied by economic growth. So what you need, we know that energy prices are going to be high, so it's going to be inflationary unless you can offset those inflationary pressures that are structural with the lack of government spending.
Okay.
So just send a message to the government: stop spending. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
I
That
feel
actually,
better.
yeah, get that off your chest,
Thank
right?
you.
And that actually leads to my next question.
Yes.
Let's say somebody makes you king for a day, or I guess energy czar for a day. What do you do to make this a better environment from an energy consumer and from an economic standpoint?
Well, if I'm an energy czar for the day, then would I have to go against the climate czar? Wouldn't that be like the evil twin? It'd be
Well,
like,
we'll just make you the emperor. How about that,
Mr.
emperor?
Warm Christmas and dark Christmas or whatever. I mean, no. If I were emperor, okay, I would fire John Kerry as a green energy czar. But no, what I would do is look towards the United States responsible energy production. Listen, we're going to consume fossil fuels for decades to come. We can't replace, go net zero, without killing a lot of people, because they're going to freeze to death, or they're not going to afford people, or bankrupting people, or creating poverty.
Yeah.
We're not in this world to create poverty.
No, of course not.
No. So you got to go to the opposite. So get a more realistic approach on energy. Go back to the U.S. energy industry and say, listen, do what you do best. Produce it cleanly, efficiently, more cleaner than anybody on earth.
Yep.
Get us going, and that's not only going to help us economically, but it's going to make us a geopolitical power, and it's one of our weaknesses that we're seeing, because it makes us more vulnerable.
Yeah.
As we can see when President Biden has to fly to Venezuela, Iran, and Saudi Arabia and beg for oil. That's crazy.
So let's say, okay, that is what would happen if you could sort of reshape the way we're doing policies.
Right.
But we all unfortunately have to live and invest in the world that we have, not necessarily the ideal one we'd want.
Right.
So given the reality of what's going on in the energy sector and sort of geopolitics,
Right.
what does an investor do? How do they protect themselves? How do they profit? I mean, what are some of your recommendations for this backdrop that we're in?
I think the best thing to do to hedge yourself against green inflation is invest in black gold oil. Because oil is now become a very scarce commodity. It didn't have to be, right? We could have an abundance of supply, but we forced it into scarcity. So when you have something that's scarce, like black gold, it goes up in price, and it's going to be scarce for years to come. And you're going to say, why for years to come? Because of the green energy investment, we've pulled back trillions of dollars of investment. We moved it from oil, we moved it into green energy. We're getting no return on the green energy front. And, when you do that, it drives up these prices. So I think energy companies, your old-fashioned energy companies, Exxon, Chevron, if you're looking for something more exotic, Synovus, these things are undervalued. They're printing a lot of money, and I think even though they now have outperformed the market, I think they're going to continue to outperform the market for the years to come.
Okay, perfect. There's a couple names. Would you rattle off those ticker symbols? Exxon, I think
Sure,
we know.
Exxon, XXO. Synovus is, I'm going to forget it, CVE.
Yep.
And then, of course, Chevron, Chevron.
Sure,
Chevron.
CVX, absolutely.
Thank you, CVX, thank you.
Absolutely. All
There
right.
you go.
Well, thank you
If
so
you want
much.
the crude oil symbol, it's ETL. So
There you go. No, perfect. Hey, let's get that in there. Phil, thank you so much for your time. I
So much
appreciate
fun.
it. It's great talking to you.
Thank you.
And it's great being here in Orlando and being here for the Money Show. So thank you very much for watching.
Thanks, guys.